Kind of Book Talk. I'm your host, Stacey Wright. I thought April was supposed to be the month of rain. April showers? Oh, not here in Alberta. We have had a ton of snow this month. Now, I'm just grateful it didn't stick around. I've literally had enough snow to last me a lifetime. But as it's the last week of April, I thought we'd wrap up the month with books that will make you cry. My own version of April showers. So I did that. In other news, our family just acquired a new reading buddy. We got a really cute little baby chihuahua. Her name is Lola. And as my business name is the Bookalorean Designs, she has now affectionately become the Lola-Lorian. She's so cute, but if you hear her crying, don't panic. She just wants me to pick her up. My son is also home still, sick. So I'm hoping he stays asleep long enough for me to get through this episode. But it's episode 22. Drip, drip, drop, little April showers. Books to make you cry. Now, I am a really easy crier. I can cry over pretty much anything. So the books I picked for you, I have chosen because they made me cry so hard that I couldn't see. I then took my book choices to Facebook to see which ones made those readers cry the most. And I've compiled my list accordingly. But before we get into that, what have I been reading this week? Now, I think I'm going to start with my audiobooks. Now, these were all 4 stars and above. X's and O's by Amy Lee. Now, this one is part of a series, but I've been reading them as standalones. So Tara moves in with her sister's fiance's old roommate workmate. I know, that's a bloody mouthful. Now, she lives her life like book tropes, and she tries to reconnect with her exes to see if she can live the second chance romance trope with any of them. Problem is, she's dragging her new roommate into her search, and the whole thing is bloody hilarious. I was totally charmed by this book and how Tara was 100% over the top extra, and Trevor is really quite reserved, but he played along. The whole book really worked for me, and yeah, I'm definitely going to need more from this series like yesterday. Next was You Between the Lines by Katie Namon. This one was a NetGalley read. Lee gets into this sought-after writing program for poetry. She cannot believe her luck when she gets them, but the last thing she expects is to come face-to-face with William, someone she knew from school, and he's a real pretentious asshat. Now, they are both competing for the same spot, and they both have unresolved feelings for each other from years ago. Now, it was pretty cute. I enjoyed the dynamic between the characters, and Lee felt like a really authentic person, so I enjoyed that one. Oh, hang on. The Webs You Weave by Shade Owens. Megan has a traumatic brain injury, and her personality has changed. Cole is the doting husband. Or is her? Now, this book is loaded full of unreliable narrators, and I normally can't handle that, but I actually really enjoyed this book. I really didn't see the ending coming. Now, the gaslighting was like real in this one, so check the triggers. The next one I listened to was The Younger Woman by Kate Ray. Gabby and Fred have been on the rocks for some time, and after their youngest child leaves for school, they know the writing is on the wall. Then one evening, Gabby sets off a dangerous game with a stranger in the pub, one that has put them both in serious danger. Now, this one started out really slow, and I almost DNF'd it, but I kept going, and I'm really glad I did because it really makes up for it after you get through those first 6-7 chapters. It was like one of those books that built and built, and then it grabs you by the metaphorical balls. It was brilliant, brilliant. Okay, I'm moving on to my physical books for the week. I started out with The Forest Grimm and The Deathly Grimm by Catherine Purdy. Now, I got both of them directly from the publisher because Catherine just published The Deathly Grimm, so they sent me the first one of the duology. I added them both to the top of the pile really fast because they look really interesting, and they really were. Now, it tells the story of Clara and her friends who venture into the dangerous Forest Grimm. They go in there to retrieve a magical book. It's supposed to break the curse that has been plaguing their village. The Forest Grimm, a place where classic fairy tales take on a dark and deadly twist, has a mind of its own. And the villagers believe it is due to the curse because of the misuse of the book in the past. Now, Clara and Axel, accompanied by Henny, embark on a perilous journey to reverse the curse and save their loved ones, facing sinister creatures and the ever-shifting landscape of the forest. Now, I was hooked, so hooked. Like, the story gripped me so hard and didn't let me go. I started it last weekend and I crushed it like in one weekend. Like, boom, boom. Okay. And then I got Finding Grace by Loretta Rothschild directly from the publisher. And it's not my normal book, but it was heartbreakingly beautiful. The story was so beautiful. Now, Anna seems to have everything. She adores her daughter and her husband, Tom, even if he does work 100 hours a week. But her longing for another baby threatens to eclipse all of it until a shocking change of events changes their lives forever. Now, years later, Tom makes a decision that ripples through their family's lives in a way that he couldn't have even foreseen. As the consequences of the fateful choice unfolds, two women's paths become permanently intertwined. But when old love clashes with new, who will be left standing? And what happens when your secrets come back to haunt you? Now, for me, it was a really interesting way of writing because Anna is already dead, but we get chapters from her point of view while she's dead. I didn't think I'd like that, but dang, it freaking worked for me. Chasma and Enchantra, both by Kaylee Smith. So this is book 1 and 2 of the Wicked Game series. Now, I got Enchantra from NetGalley and Phantasma on KU because I really wanted this arc. And I don't know why I waited so long to read Phantasma. So what happens is Ophelia and her sister discover their mother has been brutally murdered. There is no time to grieve. Ophelia has inherited both her powerful death-driven magic and enormous debt on their family home. Now, circumstances go from dire to deadly, however, when Ophelia's sister decides to pay off the loan by entering Phantasma, which is a competition where most contestants don't make it out alive, but the winner is granted one single wish. Guys, so this is how the whole series starts, okay? And it's, oh my gosh, gripping. It's dark, you know, like really dark, and it's pretty smutty. But I got sucked right in. As you can see, I had an awesome week of reading. What about you? So one more thing before we get red-eyed and weepy, let's see what books you can get today. That's right, it's publication day. Okay, so you can get All Fired Up by M.K. England, and that one is an LGBTQ romance. All That Life Can Afford by Emily Everett, and that one's a women's fiction. Bad Influence by Claire R., and it's a young adult romance. Bearer of Bad News by Elizabeth Dinney, and that one looks like it's a humorous women's fiction. Broken Souls and Bones by L.J. Andrews, and that one is a romantasy. Code Red by Vince Flynn, and it's a spy thriller. Gold Coast Dilemma by Nana Malone, and it's a multicultural romance. It looks really good. How to Have a Killer Time by Sam Lumley, and it's a cozy mystery. Long Time Gone by Charlie Donnelly, and it's a psychological thriller. Pucking Around by Emily Roth, and that one is a sports romance. And now hockey romance books are huge right now on Bookstagram. Huge. Like, I think that's mostly what I'm seeing lately. Okay, so why do people read books that make them cry? Now, this is the biggest question I've been seeing on bookish socials lately. Now, people don't read to cry. They don't understand why people that do like to read to cry blubber like babies over books. Sometimes I feel like I need to cleanse my soul. I need to shatter my heart into a million pieces, and I need to feel that pain. I like crying. I'm an easy crier. Now, have you ever seen the movie A Dog's Purpose or read the book? Oh my God. Oh my God. I sobbed and I sobbed and I sobbed. Once all the tears were cried out and my face was finally dry, I felt better. And I think if people cried more, we'd have a lot less stress in this world. But why do other people read books that make them cry? Because we're not all the same. There are a lot of reasons. From what I saw when I put this to my Facebook readers, a lot said it's helpful to process their emotions in a safe and controlled environment where they can close the book and come back when they are more prepared to handle the triggers. I think that's super healthy. And the fact that people are emotionally intelligent enough to do this fills me with hope for humanity. Now, other people felt that crying while reading helps them when they are alone to find solace and connection with a shared experience with the characters on a much more deeper level. I like that too. I do. I like understanding the characters more. I enjoy books where I can connect and relate to characters. It's really important to me. If I don't feel that connection, I find I don't enjoy the book as much. So let's look at what kinds of things that crying helps with. Okay, emotional catharsis. Okay, reading can trigger an emotional release. This allows individuals to process and work through difficult feelings in a safe space. And that makes total sense because books really do not judge. They don't judge. Empathy and connection. Books can help readers understand and empathize with characters, fostering a sense of connection and shared human experience that's hugely important for introverted readers that don't have a lot of interpersonal relationships with people outside of their home. Processing emotions. Now, crying while reading can be a way to acknowledge and work through difficult emotions such as grief or sadness. That's why often when people have gone through something in their lives, they look for books that have the same storyline or something similar. Like, my husband's left me and I'm devastated. I need a book where the husband leaves and the wife comes out better at the end. Something to connect with and give them a sense of purpose to move forward. They can also find solace and comfort. Sharing in a character's emotional journey can provide a sense of comfort and belonging, especially when the story resonates with personal experiences. I love it when I feel like I've lived the same thing the character's going through, so I totally get it. And then my feelings feel more valid, right? Totally right. Heightened emotional awareness. Now, engaging with stories that evoke strong emotions can help individuals become more aware of their own feelings and how they respond to different situations. And that's one of my favorites for this. Safe emotional exploration. Now, fictional narratives allow readers to explore complex emotions without the real-life consequences, offering a safe space for emotional processing and catharsis. Boom, baby. So why is crying good for your mental health? Because it is. Crying is massively beneficial for your mental health. Crying helps release stress hormones and activate the parasympathetic nervous system that promotes relaxation and reduces your stress. It releases endorphins and oxytocin, which then improves your mood and creates this sense of calm. You get all zen-like, right? So it is stress reduction. Crying can help release stress hormones like cortisol, which can contribute to feelings of anxiety and stress and help manage it more effectively. Boom. Mood improvement. Crying can trigger the release of endorphins and oxytocin, like I already said, which have mood boosting and calming effects. Boom, boom. Self-soothing. Crying can be a natural way to soothe and comfort oneself, particularly when experiencing emotional pain or distress. Healing grief. Crying can be a necessary part of the grieving process, helping individuals to process and accept the loss of a loved one. Physical pain relief. Crying can release endorphins, which have pain-relieving properties. Boom. Helping to alleviate physical discomfort. I'm not hearing any negatives here. Social benefits. Crying can also promote social bonding and empathy, as it can trigger caregiving and protective responses from other people. Okay? So look, you need to cry. I'm going to bring you the thunderstorm of tears, okay? It's all for your mental health. So you're welcome. Now, some of these are my picks, and some of these came from other readers. Okay. So let's start with Outlaw Noble Salt by Amy Harmon. Now, I haven't read this one, but it came up the most with readers outside of my book choices. And I really felt you should get a more wider variety of books here. So this is what it's about. When infamous outlaw Butch Cassidy decides to go straight, he discovers that too many of the powerful men he's crossed won't let bygones be bygones. To have a chance at a new life, he'll have to become someone else entirely. A brief, fateful encounter with the celebrated singer Jane on the eve of his escape offers a glimpse of what might have been, but Butch disappears, leaving her behind, until their paths unexpectedly converge again in Paris. Despite having discovered the truth of his identity, Jane trusts the outlaw and enlists his protection on her up-and-coming American tour. Although Butch is reluctant to agree, fearing his sordid past may put the woman and her young son in danger, the salvation she offers is way too hot to resist. As they both set forth on their journey, Butch's past and Jane's secrets put them at risk from threats greater than the law. And this legend of the American West will have to decide what matters most: his life, his legacy, or the woman he loves. So, because I haven't read the book, I went through and had a quick look at Goodreads reviews on it. And this reviewer really stood out to me. And this is what she had to say. When I tell you that Butch Cassidy, Amy Harmon's version of Butch Cassidy, is the ultimate hero, the ultimate man, I am not lying to you folks. The intimacy is so beautiful. The love that this man feels for Jane to the point that he would hang for something that he didn't do in order for her to live in peace. My eyes couldn't help but react, and all the tears and the broken sobs that came out of me. Yeah, that kind of sat with me for a while. And I don't read Westerns. I never have, never thought I would. But honestly, just from this Goodreads review, I'm really considering giving it a shot, okay? I really am. All right, what's next? A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. So this book makes the rounds on Book Talk a lot. And then it goes away again, and then it comes back. It's like boom, bust, boom, bust. So I actually requested the audiobook for this one months ago because there was a serious wait. And I just finished it this weekend. So what is this one about? So when four classmates from a small Massachusetts college moved to New York to make their way, they're broke, adrift, and buoyed only by their friendship and mutual ambition. There is a kind, handsome Willem, an aspiring actor, JB, a quick-witted, sometimes cruel, Brooklyn-born painter who is seeking entry to the art world, Malcolm, a frustrated architect at a prominent firm, and a withdrawn, brilliant, enigmatic Jude, who seems to be serving as their center of gravity. Over the decades, their relationships deepen and darken, tinged by addiction, success, and pride. Yet their greatest challenge, each come to realize, is Jude himself. By midlife, a terrifyingly talented litigator, yet an increasingly broken man, his mind and body scarred by an unspeakable childhood and haunted by what he fears is a degree of trauma that he'll never be able to overcome, but will define his life forever. Whew. Okay, so I cried, and I cried, and then I cried some more. Like, this book was absolutely loaded with trauma and devastation. The writing was absolutely incredible. It was beautiful, beautiful book. Like, my hand kept like floating up to my heart when I was listening, and I found myself just sitting there. Like, I wasn't actually multitasking, which is what I normally do with audiobooks. It was a truly heartbreaking story about horrific abuse and love and friendship. Oh, just please make sure you have Kleenex at the ready when you give this one a go, because you're going to feel emotionally drained by the end. You've been warned, and you make sure you check those triggers. Please check the triggers. Okay, so what's next on your emotional journey? The Nightingale by Christian Hannah. Okay, in love we find out who we want to be. In war, we find out who we are. Okay, so the book starts in France of 1939, and it starts in this quiet village in France. Vianne says goodbye to her husband, Antoine, as he heads for the front. She doesn't believe the Nazis will invade France, but invade they do. In droves of marching soldiers, in caravans of trucks and tanks, in planes that fill the skies and drop bombs upon the innocent. When a German captain requisitions Vianne's home, she and her daughter must live with the enemy or lose everything, what little they have, right? Without food or money or hope, as danger escalates all around them, she is forced to make one impossible choice after another just to keep her family alive. Okay, I'm all right. Vianne's sister, Isabel, is a rebellious 18-year-old girl, searching for purpose with all the reckless passions of youth. While thousands of Parisians march into the unknown terrors of war, she meets Gitan, a Parisian who believes the French can fight the Nazis from within France. and she falls madly in love as only the young can, completely. But when he betrays her, Isabel joins the resistance and never looks back, risking her lifetime and again to save others. Oh, this book was absolutely devastating. I had snot all over my face and I was loudly blubbering. My eyes were like puffy and red and swollen. The grief was so real. Like I felt bereft. I was devastated. And if I had been more dramatic, I would have dropped to my knees with the agony. Like the last hour of the book, I've read it and listened to it. Like I could feel my eyes welling up again, okay? I told you I'm a really easy crier. And honestly, if you are a historical fiction fan and you still haven't read this one, there is still time because it's necessary. Whew, okay. So this next book, I know there's a lot of controversy surrounding it, but it was Me Before You by Jojo Moyes. Now, Louisa Clark is an ordinary girl living an exceedingly ordinary life. Steady boyfriend, close family. She's barely been any further afield than her own tiny village. Now, she takes a badly needed job working for ex-Master of the Universe, Will Traynor, who is wheelchair-bound after an accident. Now, Will has always lived a huge life. Big deals, extreme sports, worldwide travel, and now he's pretty sure he cannot live the way he is. Will is moody and bossy, but Lou refuses to treat him with kid gloves, and soon his happiness means more to her than she expected. When she learns that Will has shocking plans of his own, she sets out to show him that life is still worth living. Ugh, it's really hard not to spoil this for you, but like I read the book 5 years ago and I had to put it down and just cry. And it took me half an hour before I could even get myself together enough to finish reading it. It's a hard story. I'm not going to lie. There's definitely some serious trigger warnings for this book. It was horribly tragic. And I always felt really bad for Lou because it wasn't a great situation for her to begin with. Oh God, don't cry, don't cry. Ugh. Okay, I'm really glad that there were more books after this one. It's a trilogy because knowing that Lou comes out the other side of it okay is like really essential to you not dying inside. Okay, so you probably wouldn't think this one is a tearjerker, but it really was. The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. Now, Achilles, the best of all Greeks, son of the cruel sea goddess and the legendary king Peleus, is a strong, swift, and beautiful man, irresistible to all who meet him. Patroclus is an awkward young prince exiled from his home after an act of shocking violence. Brought together by chance, they forge an unbreakable bond despite risking the god's wrath. Now, they're being trained by the centaur Chiron in the arts of war and medicine. But when word comes that Helen of Sparta has been kidnapped, all the heroes of Greece are called upon to lay siege to Troy in her name. Seduced by the promise of a glorious destiny, Achilles joins their cause, and torn between love and fear for his friend, Patroclus follows. Little do they know that the cruel fates will test them both as never before and will demand a terrible sacrifice. Okay, so Achilles and Patroclus, I think that's how you say it, fall for each other and they spend years being together. The tragedy is what happens at the end, and it really destroyed me. It was one of those endings that there was no other way it could have ended, but it doesn't make you feel any better about it. And it really doesn't prepare you for having your heart ripped out and stomped on. Like, I didn't expect this book to break my heart like it did. So I was completely unprepared for it. But trust me, this book is well worth it. Okay, so this one. Maybe you won't have read it because it's technically a children's book. But honestly, if you haven't read it, you are definitely missing out. It's called Bridge to Terabithia by Catherine Patterson. Now, I'm pretty sure I saw the movie first, and that, look, it was really freaking sad, okay? It was the saddest movie I've ever seen. So just imagine how much I booed my bloody eyes out reading the book. So it's about Jess Aarons, And he's been practicing all summer so he can be the fastest runner in the 5th grade. And he almost is, until the new girl in school, Leslie Burke, outpaces him. Now, the two become fast friends and spend most of the days in the woods behind Leslie's house, where they invent an enchanted land called Terabithia. Now, one morning, Leslie goes to Terabithia without Jess, and a tragedy occurs. It will take the love of his family and the strength of Leslie has given him for Jess to be able to deal with his grief. Now, I know some of you are going to thumb your nose at reading kids' books, but truly it's so well written. It's really worth the read. Like, I've read it to my kids. We've listened to the audiobook together when we were making crafts. So trust me, okay? It's got 500,000 reviews on Goodreads, and its rating is still over 4 stars. There is no way we are all wrong, okay? God, you know what? Jesus, this is harder than I thought it was going to be. Like, I told you I'm a real marshmallow when it comes to tender stuff. Oh, God, my eyes. Okay. Okay, I'm okay. Whew. Next. This book is really hard to read. Well, it was for me anyway. And I actually stopped reading it because I wasn't prepared to read what I knew was going to happen. So I got the book in 2014 and I started reading it and I had to stop. And I tried again in 2016 and still I couldn't do it. I DNF'd it and put it to one side. The problem is I'd seen the movie first and maybe I shouldn't have done that, but I didn't know it was a book. But finally I put my big girl pants on in 2018 and I read it. Okay. So despite the tumor shrinking medical miracle that has bought her a few years, Hazel has been anything but terminal. Her final chapter inscribed upon diagnosis, but when a gorgeous plot twist named Augustus Waters suddenly appears at Cancer Kids Support Group, Hazel's story is about to be completely rewritten. Okay, it's just enough to make my eyes well, okay? Kids and cancer, they don't belong in the same sentence. And don't even get me started on the word terminal, all right? Now, this book, it made me really angry, like so angry. I'm a mother, and when you read a book like this and you have your own kids, it's too real and it's too hard. And I truly never recommend this book, even though I gave it 4.5 stars. Like, I know people are like, they're teens, how can they know love with such fierceness, right? But they have been through more than most adults have before they could even drive or vote. Like, and that's if they're lucky enough to make it that long. Like, I don't often remember quotes from books, but this one really sat with me. And I had to Google it just to make sure I was remembering it correctly. And it was, you don't get a choice in getting hurt in this world, but you do get a say in who hurts you. Oh, God, I am regretting this episode so much, and I probably shouldn't have worn makeup. So this book is a favorite of my sister-in-law's. I divorced her brother, not her, and I got to keep her in the divorce, so yay me. It's Flowers of Algernon by Daniel Keyes, and I kept meaning to read it. And luckily enough, Kindle Unlimited had it. So I carved out some time to sit down and read it, and I'm really glad I did. So what it's about is there's a person called Charlie Gordon, and he's just about to embark on an unprecedented journey. Now, he was born with an unusually low IQ. He has been chosen as a perfect subject for an experimental surgery that researchers hope will increase his intelligence. Now, the procedure's already been done and been highly successful when it was tested on a lab mouse named Algernon. As the treatment takes effect, Charlie's intelligence expands until it surpasses that of the doctors who engineered his metamorphosis. Now, the experiment appears to be a scientific breakthrough of paramount importance until Algernon suddenly deteriorates. Now, will the same thing happen to Charlie? Oh, God. This is so hard, man. Okay, so I think more than anything, this book sets your emotions on a roller coaster. And while the ending is really sad, it's kind of a happy kind of sad, if that even makes any real sense. So I teared up on more than one occasion, but it didn't destroy me like other books did. I love how the way the book is written in periodic progress reports that come from Charlie. Like, it's the perfect vehicle to show his increased intelligence and the eventual decline back to his low IQ. Now, I think if you haven't read it yet and you've avoided it because it's classified as a classic and a science fiction book, you should really readjust your thinking. It's the kind of book you won't be sorry you added to your collection. Okay, look, I'm done. I can't. I had 3 more books, okay, and I can't. I'm sorry. It's too much. Like I said, I'm a really easy crier, and I can feel it pricking behind my eyeballs, and you don't need to see that. But just in case you want to go check out the books anyway, they were My Sister's Keeper by Jodi Picoult, A Man Called Uwe by Frederick Bachman, and The Book Thief by Marcus Zuzak. I loved all 3 of those, okay, but my heart can't take anymore. So do you read books that make you cry? Which one is your favorite? If you've never read a tearjerker, will you give one of these books a shot? Honestly, there is no shame in shedding tears. It doesn't make you weak or pathetic. It makes you strong, empathetic. So never feel bad for your tears, because honestly, never feel bad for mine. I do hope you've enjoyed this episode. Now, if you have, please hit that subscribe button on youtube.com/at the right kind of book talk. Now, you can follow me on TikTok. That one is at right.kind.book.talk. I know. Instagram at the right kind of book talk. Facebook at right kind book talk. Now, you can also follow me on any of those with my Bookalorean designs. Now, you can always email me, okay? The right kind of book talk at gmail.com. I'm always looking for feedback or new topics that you might like to see covered. You might want to come on the show, have a chat. Like, you can even just try one out. We don't have to air it. We can just have a chat online. So what do you think? Now, you can find The Right Kind of Book Talk on Spotify, Apple Music, RSS, Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Amazon, and anywhere else, pretty much anywhere else you can find a podcast. So give me a follow on any of those, and you could be in with a chance to win bookish prizes. Send a friend to my YouTube, and they subscribe, and you've subscribed. You can double your chances of winning. Oh, yes, you can. I will have a coupon code for the Bookalorean designs on Etsy in the comment section, so go check that out. Have the reading day you deserve, and I will see you next week. This is Stacey Wright signing off from The Right Kind of Book Talk. Take care, readers.